Hello and welcome back. So let's just quickly recap on what we've covered so far. We have looked at the priming cycle that we will run a client through. So we're priming them more for success, priming them for happiness, fun throughout the session, relaxation. We're priming that we can all be done in one session to become a non-smoker. And then we looked at the testing cycle. So we jumped all the way to the end of the stop smoking interaction and looked at testing. We looked at the simple testing, the very light testing. We looked at the environmental testing, the scenery testing, the emotional testing. And remember, the attitude with our testing is to try and break what we've done, to try and break the good work and the hard work that we've put into the session, so that if it does break, we can fix it then and there. Another attitude to take is to almost doubt that they've succeeded, to almost say, hey, you know what, you've been smoking for 30 years. How can it be this simple? Because I want them to give me the reasons why they have quit. I want to put all the power back in my clients. Rather than being the powerful therapist, I'm saying, hey, you did all of this. I did nothing. You're the powerful person. You have the powerful unconscious mind. You did all of this. And it's a very nice way to end a session, and it will leave your client leaving your session in absolute thanks to what you've done. And that story of being the lovely, welcoming therapist and allowing the client to grow from the session, that's the story you want your clients to tell other potential clients about you, because this is a simple way to actually fill up your diary as a therapist. So let's move on to the third principle I want to cover, which is setting the unconscious context. Now, where does this come from? What I tend to see a lot of therapists doing is taking the position that they're the therapist, they know everything. They're the therapist, they've worked with thousands of smokers before, and it's easy for them. They'll do all the work and their client just has to sit there and listen. Now, I don't want to knock that as an approach, because sometimes that very direct approach can work. But again, I want to show you other ways we can do this, because I want to introduce you to some simple key maneuvers that we can use with this context setting that will add more success to your sessions rather than detract from it. And we're looking at this idea of having a client leave feeling empowered rather than the therapist has done something to them. The therapist did all the quitting for them. They just followed along. So what is this about? I want you to think in your life, as the person listening to this, as the therapist, think in your life how many things you've overcome in your life. Maybe you used to eat certain foods when you were younger that you no longer eat. Maybe you used to enjoy certain things. Maybe as a kid you loved video games and now you don't like them. Maybe as a kid you really enjoyed vegetables, but now as an adult you don't like them. Maybe as a kid you used to eat all those really sugary lollies that now as an adult you think about and go, oh, my teeth would rot, it would make me feel sick. How did you do that? At what point did you overcome that? What process did you use to overcome that? What simple steps did you follow to overcome that? And it'd be very hard to actually give us a list or actually pinpoint exactly how you did this. But I want you to realize one thing, you did do it, because you're no longer that person. You've outgrown certain things. But your unconscious mind did all this for you outside of your awareness. Your unconscious mind took control of that part of your life, changed it for whatever reason. Maybe it's an environmental reason or just growing as a person. That's the person you wanted to become. But there was some part of you that had an intention that you wanted to overcome this. Let's look at more on this intention thing. Maybe there was a point in your life where you finally stood up to whatever bad thing was happening in your life and you said, you know what? Never again. I'm never ever going through this again. I never want to be this person. And you set an absolute clear, crystal lucid, clear intention. And the next day you were a different person. And maybe you did that for smoking yourself. Maybe you did that for your own weight loss. Maybe you did that to start going to the gym. Maybe you overcome another addiction by just pointing out clearly, saying, I don't want this. And it was the right environment set. The right priming had been done. And you were in the exact right mind frame to overcome that addiction. And your unconscious mind did it for you. So the idea I want to present to you as the therapist working with clients is, how about we set this intention for our clients? We hand over all the power back to them and point out that their unconscious mind will do all this for them. Remember the expectations that our client will come in thinking, I've got to perform, or I have to do something, or I can't go into trance, that type of hard expectations that clients put on themselves. How about we set the right context and let them know that their unconscious mind will do everything for them and all they need to do is just enjoy the experience? Wouldn't that be a nice thing to set as a prime as well? So how do we do this? It's actually very, very simple. So remember, all the way back we looked at priming. We've set the idea of safety, set the idea of fun, learning. So directly after our prime, and this is not a separate part of the priming, it can actually become one if you like as well, it can become part of that priming conversation, is I point out exactly what I just took you through. I sit there and go, hey, you know what? There's probably certain things that you can remember in your life that you've overcome. Of course they're going to say yes. Everybody has. It's a universal way to grow up in life. And I just want to point out how they did it. So I'll say, hey, there's many things you've overcome in your life. Maybe there were vegetables you didn't like then that you love now. Maybe certain foods and certain drinks you loved as a kid that you don't like now. And you overcome them for the good. And I want you to realize that your unconscious mind did this for you. And I want you to realize that your powerful unconscious mind will not only help you overcome smoking today, but it's really going to let you know about the powerful person you are. And you don't have to do a thing. You just need to enjoy this experience, learn from it, because today's about you. I want you to realize that the way you overcome smoking today is because your unconscious mind knows the exact way for you to do it. And it not only knows that, it knows the exact way that's going to make you feel so great after this session that you'll think back of the smoker you used to be and become quite empowered that you've overcome something that's been ruining your life. I want you to realize that your unconscious mind will do this for you. And you don't have to do a thing. I just want you to realize this right now, that your unconscious mind has looked after you your whole life, and it's going to do this for you today. You should be quite proud that you get to experience your powerful unconscious mind working with you today rather than against you. So consider that little speech I've just gone through. You can hear little priming things I've added to it, but what a nice conversation to have with your client. What's the main idea I'm presenting? That their unconscious mind will do it for them. I'm setting the context, but the context is important. What if I pointed out not only that their unconscious mind will do it for them, what is the context I set for it having done in the past? I've let the unconscious mind know that, hey, you've done things similar to this smoking thing in the past and you did it successfully, so do it again now. Use the same criteria or the same steps you did for the food they liked as a kid that I don't like now, or overcoming heartbreak or overcoming an obstacle in life. Smoking's an obstacle as well. You've done it back then, so do it now. Stop mucking around. This client wants to quit, so do it now. So I'm just letting the unconscious mind know, and I'm pointing out key parts of that person's environment and the way they've grown up to say, hey, unconscious mind, you've done this before. What's stopping you doing this now? And I'm letting the unconscious mind know that as a therapist, I trust it. That I trust my client's unconscious mind that it has all the power in the world to do this. So I'm creating a friendship. This is important. I'm creating a friendship with the client's unconscious mind rather than taking the position of the therapist saying, I know everything. I know how you'll quit because I've helped many people quit before. I know the best way for you to quit. So what's the position I'm taking there? I'm saying to the client's unconscious mind, hey, I know more than you. Now, is this the case? Let's consider this. What's more powerful in your life, your conscious mind or your unconscious mind? Hopefully you said the unconscious mind, and you'd be 100% correct. So I want you to realize as a therapist, if we take the position to say my conscious mind knows more than a client's unconscious mind, you're creating a conflict. So what would the conflict sound like? Let's say you can take this position, you keep forcing this position on the client's unconscious mind. Their unconscious mind might go, hey, all right, big shot. You think you know it all? I'm going to test you. I'm going to make this session so hard for you and see how good you are. Come on. You're telling me about how much you know and how good you think you are. I'm going to make this so hard that this is going to be the worst session you've ever been to. Now, why would an unconscious mind do this? Well, let's consider this in your life. Let's consider you're out at a social event or something like that, and someone comes up to you or a friend and starts pestering you and starts going, I'm better than you. Or, why did you fail at that? I'd never fail at that. And they almost rub your nose in it. They rub your nose in it like a little dog that's made a mistake. And you think, what an asshole. How dare you talk to me like that? All right, if you think you're so good, try this on instead. Try this. Or, I'm going to do this for you and see if you can overcome it. So this is the environment we're creating with that little example. We don't want to create that same environment with the client's unconscious mind. We want to be friends with it. We want it to help us. Now, we're not pleading with it going, please, 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 I need this person to stop quitting, to quit smoking because I need to get paid, I need to pay my bills, all that sort of stuff, because now we're pleading with it. And it's not a good position to take. The position I want you to take is, hey, all right, unconscious mind, I know you've done this before. So, hey, can you give me a hand? Can you help me today? I'd really appreciate it. And I'm going to let you decide what's the easiest way for this person to quit and leave all the power for you. But if you need my help, I'll just push it in the right direction. All the results are up to you, because I know you'll do a better job than I ever could. And I want to thank you for doing this for your client or for the person that you are a part of. This is the position I want to take. This is the position I want to take as a therapist with every single smoker and also every single client I work with. I would rather they do all the work, because they'll always do a better job. Remember, if I can think of a way that a client would quit, their unconscious mind is going to find an easier and better way every single time, because consciously I'm limited. So let me give you an example of a normal clinical approach that a therapist would take. They would usually associate a color to stopping the addiction. So it would sound something like this. Client, every time you drive in the car and you see a red light, you'll think of stopping smoking. Every time you see someone wearing red, you'll think of you're a non-smoker. Every time you see the color green, you realize how powerful you are as a person. Every time you see the number 3, you'll realize that you've overcome something in your life. And it's a great approach, but what am I doing as a therapist? Am I not ripping them off? What if the client never sees red? What if the client never sees green? What if the client's unconscious mind has decided to go down that way to associate color to the stopping of addiction, but has chose purple instead, and you never mention purple? What have you done? You've ripped them off. And yes, their unconscious mind could override any suggestion you have, but it will tend to work with you rather than against you if you set it up perfectly. So why not just say, instead of working just with a color, hey, do anything you need to. Even if it's the most bizarre way you need to think of to have this client quit smoking, go ahead and do that. I'm leaving it all up to you, and I will help you at any stage you need me. All you need to do is ask. So hopefully right now you're starting to get the mindset of the different contrasts you can take in regards to the position. So I'm setting the right context. The context is, I'm the therapist, you're the unconscious mind. I will help you when you need it, and I'm going to leave it all up to you to do. When you need my help, you just let me know. How will it let me know? It'll let me know through the client maybe hasn't quit perfectly, or there's something that's still bugging them a little bit, and that's just a little reflection of the unconscious mind saying, hey, can I have a little bit of help here? Can you give me a suggestion just so I know where to start? That's the position I want to take. Rather than, I'm the therapist, I've been trained, I know all, I'll help you quit, because I've helped many people quit before, and I know more about you than you. And that's the wrong position to take. So I go through the priming cycle. You can include that little context as well, and it's a lovely conversation to have. It'll really empower your clients. So right now we've set up the prime, we've set up the setting the context, we jumped all the way to the therapy at the end. So what I want to move on to next is, how do we start all of this? Yes, we can start with the prime, absolutely, but let's look at some exclusive questions we can ask, because we want to put our clients into the problem enough so they can experience the pain of it, I guess you could say, before we start to prime them out the other side of it. So let's move down to the next part of our training together. We're not going to look at a set of questions. I'm not going to be giving you these questions. The principle is more important. Then you can create any question you want, because your intention will be set for success. So let's move on to the next part of the training. Let's look at some little hypnotic questions we can ask. See you then.